We can give a kid at 15 a written test and then say, go get yourself in some 3-litre, $30,000 car that could go 160 kilometres an hour and go for your life. It's a lethal weapon.
I'm a supervisor for a team of people who deal with the youth offending. So when it came to traffic matters, serious traffic matters like drink driving, dangerous driving, driving causing injury, it's all dealt with through the youth justice process. I felt that it would be good if we had something that was educational and that could actually change the way they see that driving behaviour. I discussed it with a colleague of mine, Mike Stopforth.
I wanted to say welcome to everybody here, all the families and all the young people that are going to be involved in this Right Track program. I suppose my role in the police is to ensure that the road toll comes down, less people are getting hurt and injured on the roads. Basically, you guys have been given an opportunity. You're coming on this program, you're going to learn about making good choices, but overall, our whole goal of everyone here is to make sure that you guys don't get hurt on the road.
There's always been a huge gap between police and young people. It's important that they understand that we're trying to do the right thing by them as well, and it's about building the relationships with these young people so that the next time that they deal with the police, I think that Craig, who was on the Right Track program, he was all right. Oh, these guys are all right after all. They're just trying to do the right thing by us.
The behaviour that some of you have done so far could end up with you dead.
John Finch from Educate conceptualised and created the Right Track program.
We decided that the program had to have an impact. They wanted a better way to reach the kids because the problem was huge.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd just come and take part and not really care about it.
Oh, when I first came in, I thought this was a bunch of bullshit. Couldn't wait till it's finished.
How did you feel when you first came into the course?
Thought it was pretty stupid.
When I first walked through those good doors, I thought, bah, this course is a waste of time.
The whole idea was to create a sense of realism.
The Right Track is an innovative program that promotes safety and teaches responsibility to young people within the youth justice system. Over the next 4 weeks, these young offenders are going to experience a range of multidimensional learning activities designed to have maximum impact.
The video interviews are really cool. A lot of them get sort of freaked by being interviewed. How much you reckon you knocked back when you got caught?
I don't know.
Just one of those nights?
Yes, one of those nights.
By interviewing the kids at the start, we get an idea of their attitude. So they're all gun-ho and caps on back to front.
Were you careless, or how do you see it?
Not really, because the car pulled right in front of me.
I don't really give in to peer pressure that much, but it's the alcohol mostly.
Would that be the first time you've ever drunk drive, or?
Nah, just the first time I got caught.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we do exactly the same interview at the end of the program to see, this is just one part of the evaluation, to see if their attitudes have changed.
The New Zealand Fire Service are usually called out onto the scene of a serious crash. The Right Track participants are going to take place of the victims in this staged rescue.
There's no such thing as a typical accident, okay? The first thing we want to do is get rid of the glass. Okay, so we're going to do that first. So if you guys start doing that.
Okay, obviously when you come to a scene of an accident, the vehicle isn't going to be like this. As John explained, it's going to be really crumpled up and it's going to be a lot more difficult to deal with than this. Because there is a bit of glass around and because we don't want these guys to get covered in glass, I'm going to give them a couple of plastic sheets. At a real incident, we don't have any choice, we have to break the glass. The stuff that we carry in here is something to smash the windows, something to cut the seat belts, something to puncture the tyres because we don't want the vehicle to roll away, so we want to flatten the tyres and stabilise it. All right, breaking windows.
So next thing that we're going to do is we're going to try and gain access to these guys. And this is where we're going to start using some of our big cutting gear. So the first thing we're going to do is take the side out of the car. Okay, this thing here is what we call the jaws of life, or the spreaders. You know, we don't like going along and trying to save teenagers' lives, you know, when they've got a whole life ahead of them. With serious injuries, the ambulance will be putting lines in, they'll be putting drips in, they'll be stabilising some of the more serious wounds. I'd like to think that they'll realise the gravity of the situation, you know. It's not a movie, it's not TV, this is real, eh?
Yeah, it can get pretty scary when you're in a car and things getting chopped off. But now I've experienced it, I wouldn't want to experience it in real life.
New Zealand has one of the worst youth death rates from road traffic crashes in the world. This is a fact. It's up there with the US, and these are figures from the World Health Organization. In 2006, young drivers in New Zealand were involved in 3,768 minor injury crashes, 813 serious injury crashes, 121 fatal crashes. So young drivers were at fault in more than 75% of all fatal crashes.
We're going to present things in so many different ways that every person on the program will be affected at least one time.
So this is what happens when there's no airbag and no safety belts in a car. You're travelling along on the motorway at 100 kilometres an hour. Somebody crashes into you or you crash into somebody else and you come to a sudden stop. So your body keeps travelling at 100 kilometres an hour even though you've stopped. And so too does your brain. It travels along inside your skull at the same speed. See what happened to the brain when I just hit the skull? It shakes violently inside the skull. If you're drunk, the crash is more likely to happen. You're more likely to speed, you're less likely to wear your seatbelt, and the injuries will be more severe. These are a training tool we use, and they are simulated to just above the legal drink driving limit in New Zealand. Alcohol affects your brain, these affect your vision, but they allow you to feel what it's like to be drunk without actually being drunk.
Teenagers are fairly resilient. At that age, often they don't think about the risks and the possible consequences. Part of what we're trying to do is speed up the maturity process by giving them a whole lot of experiences that the average person might take 10 or 15 years to see, hoping that they will then process that and make more mature decisions.
Oh, you did it! Okay.
Oh, that's mean.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, that was so hard.
One of the most influential speakers on the course is Tamati Paul. His car was hit by a drunk driver speeding at 165 kilometres per hour. While Tamati and his passengers survived the crash, the drunk driver was killed.
When we meet Tamati, and he tells his story of the tragedy of a drunk driver hitting him 150 kilometres an hour, it cannot fail to have an effect. And when that emotion is attached to the learning happens.
That person changed my life. That person shattered all my dreams. I wasn't always like this. I was not always like this. Before my crash, man, I was quite a lethal opponent, man. In February '98, I became an Oceania World Champion in surf life saving. August that year, I was chosen to be a representative for New Zealand in kayaking at the Sydney Olympics. I was young, I was strong, my life was so perfect. Then a person made his own choice. His choice was to drink alcohol, waipiro, get haurangi, then get behind the wheel of a vehicle. That person changed my life. May I please have one volunteer, please?
Ray Hana, for me, has stood out the most. He's almost taken on a leadership role with the group, particularly when Tamati came and spoke to us. He asked for a volunteer, and he was the first one up there.
Would you please be able to jump, please, brother? Please? Yeah. Wow.
When he initially came, he was a little bit hesitant. For him to get so deep into the course shows his commitment to making those changes.
They're very moved by the different stories that are told, and it is an emotional journey for them, and I think that's what has that lasting effect.
Don't let what happened to me happen to you or anyone else, because it doesn't need to happen and shouldn't happen, but it did. My body was fully reconstructed, and there's still a lot of metal in me now, and that's why I walk so cool and flash.
The mentors that we've developed so far are an incredibly powerful tool.
This guy here is the biggest inspiration for me. I don't know what to say to the dude, you know, like seeing what he's been through and what he's seen and what he's done is just sort of takes me back, like, whoa, how do you do that?
When I first arrived here, I was sort of like, well, you know, this is crap. I don't want to be here, I'm only going to do it so I don't lose my license and I can just go. The more I got into it, the more I actually sort of just realised that, you know, the way I'm heading, if I carry on what I'm going to do, I'll just be 6 feet under.
I hope you guys are learning. It's the biggest part is this program is just learning and taking it all in.
When they talk to the new participants on the course, all of a sudden the message is incredibly strong, not only for the new participants, but also for the participants' families. And hearing other young people say, I've changed my life, gives them hope.